Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley, and today I'm going to be making over this sideboard. It's a well-made piece of furniture. It's solid, British made. Its veneer's a little bit chipped. First thing I did was give it a coat of a blue chalk paint. I added different flecks of a white chalk paint, and I blended it with water. After I did that, I got my palette knife, and this is really where I begin, because this piece is really heavily textured, and I started by adding different areas with quite thick with my palette knife, and kind of not blending it. I didn't want a blended finish, just making sure you can still see it underneath. And what I continue to do is just go over the top of each one, blending, brushing it less each time until I get a kind of thicker finish that I think is the kind of chippy I'm looking for. And I just, load up my palette brush, and this is how I achieve the really thick grungy finish. On wet paint, I scrape with my palette knife, scrape it back, and then trowel it almost back on. I like the chips underneath, so I'll be keeping most of them. But I just kind of find areas where I want to thicken up the paint, and I just smear it around until I've got the texture that I'm really looking for. And you can see sometimes I put it straight back on, sometimes I just leave the chip out of the furniture. And as I said, the veneer in this was chipped quite considerably, so I wanted to have quite a lot of texture on this sideboard. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm scraping it, and then I'm kind of smearing it back on, troweling it back on with my palette knife, and it's kind of helping to blend. Now this is the beginning of me adding lots of different colours, which I'll add lots of different textures. Up until this point here, I've only used chalk paint. It's all been done with chalk paint. This is where I start to add acrylic. And as you can see, I've loaded up my palette knife with a kind of dark pink, and I like to have two colours. This is the IOD transfer I'm going to be using, and I want it to match the sort of flower tones. So as you can see, I'm showing you the palette, a paper plate, and what I do is I scrape some dark orange and some more of an ochre sort of orange onto my palette, and I scrape them down together. And as you can see, I'm trying to get in close so I can show you all the wonderful texture that I've managed. It absolutely feels like there's loads of layers of chip. And what do you do when you haven't got enough texture? You add a little bit more. So I decided that my transfer had a bit of orange in it, so I wanted some orange. Always remember, when you do this kind of, you leave your drawings to sand away all the crispy edges, so your drawers run smoothly. And after I did this, I actually waxed inside so my drawer runners smoothly ran. I've decided I would paint the insides of the cupboards the blue, and I'd paint the shelves a deep purple. So you've got to make sure that you've always kind of like finished off your piece nice, and I waxed inside. And this is me with the Wander IOD transfer. I'm really at this point just deciding where I'm going to put everything. I do cut the whole stencil up, transfer up. I don't put it on in sections. I cut it as I go because I want it to come on in. At this point in time, you can't tell, but the flowers kind of run in diagonals across the unit in a big kind of sort of almost like kind of garland. This is me sort of just burnishing it down because there's so much texture on the furniture. I really need to make sure that this is burnished really well. And I just go along the whole piece, adding flowers where I think it needs it. And as you can see the two diagonals running across the unit. And I just get my scissors, cut a piece I want, and think where I might want to add a little bit more, and I just add it. And this is how much paper I've cut up, because I've cut the whole stencil, the whole transfer up. So and this is just me making sure that I've given the whole thing a really good burnish. I wanted to sand the edges. I wanted a little bit of chippy finish on the edges, so I've gone along with quite a heavy grit sandpaper, and I'm just doing the whole thing. I do the feet, the bottom, the sides, around the top. The colours of this unit, although the front is completely distressed, the sides and the top are all the blue colour, and the colours and paints and and what transfer I used will all be listed in the description box below. And this is me just making sure that I've sanded, and I'm not too worried about that colour because when I wax it, it'll just finish it off. And this is where I'm at so far. So I know that inside the doors have all been done, inside the cupboards have all been painted, the inside the runners have been waxed so that my doors run smoothly, and I've applied my IOD transfer to the front, which is, again, I'll say it's called Wanda. I'm using some IODs, that stamps. Come from the Peony stamps, and I just want to stamp across the inside of the doors just to give it a little bit of something. When people open up the doors, they're going to see, you know, that it's finished really nicely, and, you know, it's the attention to detail I sometimes think with hand painted furniture. So I just go ahead and I do 3 of the kind of peony flower buds on a row across each side and on every drawer. And of course finish off with a really good coat of wax. Now I actually went back the next day, I buffed it and I went back and I waxed it all again. This is the top getting waxed, and this isn't its true colour, it's more sort of kind of more edging towards turquoise, but as you can see being filmed here in the studio, it looks a darker blue, but it's actually more of a sort of turquoise blue. But I will list the name of the paint. So if you've enjoyed what I've done with this piece of furniture today and you want to see more pieces of furniture, then consider subscribing. And if you want to see when I upload a video or Martin and I are doing a project together, then push the bell notification, and YouTube will let you know when there's a new one to watch. I've really enjoyed this video today, and I hope you'll enjoy the piece, and here's some lovely glamour shots of it. So we hope that we'll see you again in another video.